Hello, hello. Let's get this part. Hi. Here we go. Here we go.
It was good.
And much. Look at you fresh from the barber.
Hey, listen, I had to shave him down a little bit. I'm always on the bottom of this joint, so I can't see all the comments.
Got to
Hey,
show
listen.
you
So
guys.
look, you just celebrated your, can I say the year?
You can.
The 37th year.
Whoop,
You
whoop.
are 37, and hey, listen, I saw the walk. I saw the walk. You did okay.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Now,
You did okay.
now you just met me this year.
I did. I
My,
did. Hey, can we get into that a little bit? Can we get
yeah,
into
of
that for
course.
those who?
Yeah. Let me speak because you just tried to come for me. I need to defend myself. That is my natural walk. I
Okay.
In high school, James Jackson, if you ever find this, James Jackson called me Kiki Shepherd. For those who remember Showtime at the Apollo, she would saunter out on stage.
Yeah.
He called me Kiki in high school.
So before you were Kelly Rowland, you were Kiki.
And then in college, everybody swore I was switching, and my line name, one of them became Runway for
Hey,
a different reason, but it
right.
it
That's the story. Oh man, we have so many stories. I need some time where I can just ask all these questions. I got a lot of questions.
yeah.
I
So
have so here's a
So
question
wait,
for you.
so wait. So the ending to wrap up this whole story is
Right.
a year ago today, I had knee surgery. I currently have two screws in my left knee that will be there permanently. And so for me to walk, not only walk my walk, but in stiletto heels
That's a blessing.
is a cheese. Okay. So I don't care what you got to say about my walk. I am happy and healed. Okay.
It was an observation. I mean, you was really excited about your video, so I figured I'd just,
You
you
know
know,
what?
give you a little props. That's all.
We're excited about my
How
video.
you doing? How was your birthday?
My birthday was good. This year is all about normalizing luxury. So I
Okay.
booked a staycation at a
Nice.
hotel. I had dinner and drinks at a top rated restaurant. And I am feeling like this is the life I should be living at 37.
I hear that. Normalizing luxury.
Normalizing luxury.
I'm gonna write that down so I don't forget it because it'll be a post later.
I mean, Black women been on this, so welcome. Welcome to the party.
We got a lot to talk about today.
We have a lot to talk about, Kev, and I see everybody in the room. I can't
Yeah,
even.
what's up, people?
At
How's
every,
everybody doing? Hey, E! That's my boy, Dr. Pritchard.
thank you, y'all, for the birthday. I love you. Let me say this right now. We got a good conversation today. If you have not seen our IG post
Yeah,
talking about some good stuff, so what I need you to do right now is
I know how to do this.
at the bottom of your screen, right hand corner, there's an arrow. I need you to send this video, this live right now to 3 friends because we are the pairing and we are talking about ways to reimagine relationships within the Black community. So my name is Natalie Dean. I am the founder and executive director of Wine and Cheese Incorporated. We are I got
Look, you can't
sidetracked,
even get
y'all.
right.
Anyway, listen, I just got another gift from him that I wasn't expecting.
Oh,
So
man. Let's normalize that smile. I love it.
I'm on. Amen, Jesus. So anyway, Wine and Cheese is an organization for Black women to build and bond within community. We are going to continue this conversation. Hey, babe, I see you've joined. We are going to continue this conversation
Oh, who Babe? Is Babe Kwame?
Mind your business.
I'm all over it. I'm gonna add him as a friend before the night is out. Kwame,
We
let me
are
write that down.
to continue conversations like this and other ways of pouring into each other, so that we can then pour into the world through our app. So you can click the link in my bio, to share with us within community. Stop it. Focus. Uh,
Good evening, everyone. I'm sorry. Were you finished? I don't want to
I'm done.
mansplain. Okay. Kavan Turman, and I am the creator and the founder of the Brothers Brunch Experience, is like what I like to call it, because we have an LLC component and we also have a nonprofit component. We've been around since 2015, and we are an organization that pours into men to give them all the tools that they need to be better husbands, fathers, and friends. Uh, we love doing the work. We're here to do the work. We have three very important ingredients: cuisine, culture, and connection. Cuisine is not just from a culinary standpoint, but a life experiential standpoint, where you are what you eat. So definitely the cuisine, definitely the culture, and for the culture, and definitely for the connection. And it's funny, connection. Can we just talk a little tiny bit about connection? Because I think you'll be proud of me. Guess what I did?
Go ahead.
So Nata,
Nata.
she is going to kill me. Nata always she mentions Brene Brown, and so I've heard the name, and I'm not gonna hold you. I thought she was a sister. I didn't know. I wasn't ready. So I got on a TED Talk, and before you know it, I started with vulnerability, right? And then I ended with like shame. I just kept watching, and it was explosive, to be honest with you. And so the crazy thing is, I think it provides so much context. So I'll be tapping in a little bit on some of the nuggets that I learned a little something. And what I will say is, some of this I've talked about, but she helped me give it language.
Okay.
So it was really cool. So I appreciated Nata even mentioning it, because of course, we do all the editing behind the scenes. And so I'm listening to it over, and I'm like, you know what? Let me just go listen to this lady, because if I hear this name one more time, it's going to drive me nuts. So yeah,
So
cool.
I was introduced to her through Oprah's Super Soul.
Okay.
And I then ended up ordering her book, The Gifts of Imperfection. It is in my top 5
Okay.
life-changing or mind-changing books, I will say. She's incredible, and we are a fan of hers within Wine and Cheese. And I just want to shout out Nata, who was super nervous and critical of the clip that we posted of her. So everybody in the comments, just drop a heart and let Nata know we appreciated her thoughts in today's clip. You know, we can be our own worst critics. So we're going to give her some love in the comments, just with a heart, please.
So I've not been introduced to a lot of, well, obviously we're just getting acquainted and we get to know each other. So believe it or not, for anyone's tuning in, we get to know each other this way. So, I mean, we've had some conversation, right? But I think this is how we get to know each other, because we don't have a lot of offline conversations. You are super busy. You tell me exactly what you need, edit the clip here, edit the clip there. I'll see you on Thursday. It's like, but what I will say is, being introduced to her was really dope. And I really want to get to know her. I can't wait till we actually try to bring our organizations together.
Mm-hmm.
She has good energy. And so that's like, she's a friend in my head already. We just got to, let that materialize. But yeah, she's dope. And I appreciated all the texture she added for that whole 2 hours, which is what nobody sees, right?
Yeah, yeah. So just to give anyone new a brief background, Kev and I have decided to partner in a way that helps us reimagine relationships within the Black community, both romantic, platonic, familial, collegial, all the above. We want to make sure that this is a safe space, but also a brave space. What we not going to do, as Kev likes to say, that's not how I phrase it, but we want to make sure that when we invite you to the room to share your thoughts, that you are doing so in a way that is grounded in love, And when you make comments that may be opposing to anyone else in the room or even in the comments, we want to make sure that you are saying them in a way that doesn't put the other person on the defense. Okay, this is a family situation we got going on, and we are going to move in love.
You know, it's
So
funny you say that. So two things. Nat is call me. Can I call her Nat? Never mind. We'll talk offline. So every time we get on, you notice I have a book. So the first book was We Should All Be Feminists, and so that was last week. Today's book is Let Love Have the Last Word by
I
Common.
read that as well.
So it's a really good book, but I want to bring something up as we kind of unpack some of the things that we've been talking about. You know, unpack being the phrase of the year, apparently. I was talking to my homie down in Texas, and he said, "Oh, you really talk about this pairing a lot, and from what you've shown me, is really dope, and it seems like you guys have really good energy. But is she not is she married?" And I said, "Well, no, but she's dating, right?" And I said, he was like, "But like you're married with 2 kids. How's that work? Like, what's the goal?" And I was explaining to him what the goal was, and it was just an interesting conversation because I think at first glance, if you don't know what the goal is for why we're having this conversation, and you don't realize that there is a universal language that we all should be speaking that will help us in relationships in general, then of course the first thing that would come to you is like, well, what does the two have in common? I mean, we're not in a relationship. We're just building a friendship. And so we're talking about all of these relationship things. But as you were given like the disclaimer, it just took me back to the conversation I had with my boy, because he was like, "Well, I don't even understand how you guys are even talking on the same level because you're here and I'm thinking to myself like, okay, well, once I broke it down, it was all clear, but that was his initial reaction. So I thought it was interesting, and I thought you would think it was interesting.
Well, first of all, we are in relationship, just not in a romantic one.
Yes,
Right?
that part.
Right. And repeat that again. So what is the goal
Don't you
given
go
you're
tearing,
married, I'm
don't you
single?
go tearing that apart. It was very simple.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
talking to my boy, and he says, "I'm just curious. Y'all have good energy, but you're married with 2 kids, and she's single, is she not?" And I said, "No, she's not single."
I'm
He
single
said,
until married, but I'm in a committed
"Ooh,
relationship.
can we talk about that at some point?" Not to be salacious, because you hate when I do that.
I hate salaciousness. Go
Like,
ahead.
you hate it. But anyway,
In this context.
it's still a conversation I think that would make for a good one.
Hmm.
I might add,
Hmm.
single till married. That was a heavy statement. But anyway, I just wanted to bring it to your attention because it was a really good conversation, because afterwards he said, "Oh, I totally get it. I totally understand." Particularly when we dig a little deeper, because just to add context to our conversations, we're really trying to promote the Black family and sustain the Black family, right? And what that looks like, because that depending on what lens you're looking through, but that can look different, because everyone is coming from a different situation,
Yeah.
obviously.
And not all Black families include married people,
Yes.
right? We've got
Yes. I explained
aunts
that too.
and uncles and all these people that are single but are still, again, in relationship. There's very common threads in all relationships, and levels. So just because we're not married doesn't mean that we don't have a level of perspective that we can add to the pot. So
Yep.
I'll
All
leave
right.
that there. What I really want to jump into, I know we're going to talk about the clip and reflect on that. I really want to talk about this post that's gone viral
Okay.
this week. And I don't have the source, forgive me, but where it says it's a thread, a carousel, and it's men sharing what they wish women knew about them. And I've seen a lot of our brothers reposting it. And I even shared it with my partner, and he numbered which ones were relevant for him. And it got me thinking, are we having these conversations with, are men having these conversations with women? It's one thing to type, to add to a post, to a thread, but are we actually having the conversation in person? Are you picking up the phone and saying, hey, babe, I really like when you give me compliments? I can't even remember the list now, but are we talking about that part? So jump in.
Yeah. So I venture to say no. I don't think that we are actually sharing those things. See, I think it obviously evokes an emotion because everyone's sharing it,
Yeah.
which means
Someone
that
said,
it's
I think
like,
Dev in the comments said it's over 1 million shares already.
yeah. So let's stay there, because I think oftentimes when a preacher says something that hits home, you kind of get the side eye and you say, amen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or when someone, on TV hits a nerve, or hits something that you really do want to come across to someone else in the room, you say, right? There are oftentimes these things that come across our timeline that really, they're basically saying what we're thinking. But the problem is we're thinking it, but we're not actually communicating it.
Right.
And nothing's changed. I mean, this is age old. We've been doing this for quite some time, and we do know better. We know you can't fix what you're not willing to face.
Mm.
But I think there's just complexities there, particularly when you've been in a relationship for a while. There's something you said on your post where you said, "Are you doing the maintenance or something like that? Are you checking in periodically to say, hey, where are we? Or this is how this makes me feel." But there's another component to that, and so we can't talk about this without talking about the fact that we all bring this baggage, and even
Yeah.
in the relationship, we've created we have duffel bags of shit, right? And so with that, it's like every time I open my mouth, I have to realize that there's a perception, there's been an impression from my wife that she's receiving what I'm saying with that impression in mind. So she's literally, I don't think we're it's funny. Brene Brown talked about the whole heart,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't necessarily think we're approaching every situation with that, that level of vulnerability to say, regardless of how much you've hurt me, I'm going to love, and I'm going to be all in, and I'm going to be, I'm going to love you, although I don't know what this outcome will be.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's definitely complicated.
So I think we should invite some people in. Um, I
Who we got?
wonder, do we have Brittany in the room?
Britt was on our original conversation, right?
She was in our original conversation.
The one
I'm looking
posing? Was
for,
that the one posing?
yes,
Yes.
yes, it was. Britt, if you see this, go ahead and request to join. But I see a lot of movement in the comments. A lot of people have joined. We are talking about uh, whether or not men are actually communicating to women what they want us to know, or are they simply just adding to this viral thread? So come on to the room. Let's actually invite some people, and let's get some new people.
She said, love with your whole heart, even when there are no guarantees.
That's vulnerability, right? Knowing the risk and doing it anyway. Vulnerability being a level of courageousness, right?
Well, it's funny because I often say cuisine, culture, and connection. And so that that whole connection piece is is huge when it comes to vulnerability. And that was kind of unbeknownst to me until I actually watched the podcast or the TED Talk. So what she said was, what keeps us out of connection is the fear that we aren't worthy of connection. And I felt like that was really interesting, and it could be the answer to why a lot of relationships don't work.
Mm.
If you're if you're in the space and you don't feel worthy, which has everything to do with how much you love yourself,
Yep.
how is it even humanly possible for you to lean into another situation and adequately provide the other person with the love they need?
I'm listening, but I'm also trying to figure out IG Live. Anyway, let's see who answers the call to join the room. Oh, we've got your friend.
Y'all don't get this black girl realness today. I ain't got time.
I love it.
What's up?
Read the shirt.
What's going on?
Magical black girl. But listen, this is how we show up in wine and cheese. Okay, no frills.
This ain't wine and cheese though. This is the pairing. So I'm gonna need you to come. You know, when
Just
it's all done.
don't clip this onto the IG.
You know, I'm gonna edit. What's going on?
Nothing. How are you guys? Hold on, I'm on Bluetooth.
Okay, so give us your
Can you
thoughts,
hear me?
Nata. Yes,
Not
give us your thoughts.
I am so forgive me for my ignorance in advance. Brother, what's your name?
Kevin.
Kelvin. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yo, thank you. This is your way of telling me, listen, you are special to a lot of people, but not to me, brother. It's fine. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay.
He forgets my name. Don't feel bad.
Tell me how long it takes me to learn a name, Natalie. We had this whole discussion.
All right, come on, let's get to it.
What's up?
So I'm so proud that you listened to Brene Brown and you were able to connect with that. And the statement that you said that if someone basically is scared to open up in a relationship, I don't know if that person is in the right relationship, if you're scared to open up with a partner and or if you're ready to be in a relationship. So that's just my major takeaway right there.
Well, here's the thing though. I would imagine that that's not as cut and dry. It may be because you are at a point in your life where that's how you feel. But is there any, I'm just thinking growth mindset, right? Is there any room to
Yes, there's definitely growth mindset, but that was cut and dry. So if you identify that, you're willing to work on that and express to yourself and your partner, hey, I'm realizing it's really hard for me to talk to you or share what I'm thinking. Either you personally do the work, whether that's therapy, journaling, prayer, find your kumbaya, and start working through those barriers with your partner. But to have that internally, to go on Instagram, see a post and share what you're thinking. Like I can't imagine being in a relationship and seeing my man post to that. I'm like, he ain't never told me that. You know, and so how that feels. And so looking for the ability to share. Can't share? Yeah, there's a barrier. So addressing the barrier in the relationship or outside or with another.
Yeah.
No, you don't think someone that you're having intercourse with should know the deeper feelings that you're feeling, any hindrances you're feeling, especially when you're in a committed monogamous relationship and the goal is marriage, or if you're actually married, that if you're having a barrier expressing your feelings to this person, that's not a red flag or a cause of concern?
No, it may be a cause for concern. I think that, wow, so it's part of the reason why I do this work, right? Selfishly, it's a lot of it has to do with me, right? And wanting to do better and be better. But then I look around and I see my various circles, and I realize that we're just a little different. We're built a little different, and so I think sometimes because we're so there's a complexity to it. We're in these emotional relationships and not and lack the ability to be emotionally available sometimes, and it's because there's so much there and so much that's not been fully dealt with, and then you get to sisters like the two of you, right? And I've heard all too often, like some sisters, and neither one of you have said this, but like some men are intimidated, and I understand why they would be, because it's intimidating to be, you tend to hate on what you don't understand, and it's intimidating to be in a situation where you are hearing and learning a lot of good stuff, but
Overwhelming.
it's overwhelming. And then you're getting it from a sister, which is you have to be built different to even be able to hear that.
Because some men can't
Yeah.
receive correction or anything, suggestions, advice from a woman for possible issues.
And so then it's this bravado, and there's this feeling that you're trying to that some of it is emasculating, right? And it depends on how you say it. That's a whole nother layer. So yeah, there's a lot of work that we have to do. And so that's why I feel like these conversations are really dope, because even if you don't want to chime in, you're able to listen and learn a little bit. And we don't know it all. We're all learning together, but it is it's complex.
Let me ask you this, because this is the second week in which you've said, you know, we have work to do. Where do we start? Where do we start? And also, Kev, go ahead and invite a brother to the room so you're not out here all by yourself.
Well, I got my young boy here, the fourth, Mr. Coppin State University. I wonder if he wants to come on. I'm not sure. How do I invite? Well, you see him, the fourth. He might want to come on. So the question is, where do we start with the work? So it's interesting, and I don't want to be on the Brene Brown kick, but that vulnerability it just hits different, because you don't even really associate vulnerability with men. And
Which
so,
is sad.
I'm sorry?
Which is sad.
It is sad.
You're human. How are you not to be vulnerable?
Right, but okay, so because I did take copious notes, right? So if I'm reading it, it says, connection is why we're here, right? And it's the fear of shame. Shame is the fear of disconnection. And so it's almost that we're kind of, I mean, it's a lot. So all right, let me answer the question. Where do we start? We have to obviously communicate, but the question is, do we have safe spaces to do that? Right? I feel like we're coming in sometimes to these situations where there's a lot of pressure to be that guy already, or to have that level of consciousness. It may not be pressure that you're inflicting, but I'm telling you, from a man, sometimes it's pressure, because I said this before, the whole world wants to tell men how to be a man, how to walk, how to talk, and what makes you a man. That's pressure. And then you align with a strong woman, and that's a whole nother level of pressure at times, if you're not rested and rooted in who you are. So where do we start? We have to communicate, but we need a safe space to do that. What did she say?
I'm trying to
Recognize
invite
the
y'all.
pressure
I
you
don't know
put on
what I'm
yourself.
doing. If y'all know how to invite someone, I don't know if it's because I don't follow him, but I can't invite him.
And
So
as
I'm trying to figure that out in terms of what you're saying. Is the expectation that someone comes in fully healed? No, because we all have new trauma and triggers that we're possibly dealing with on an everyday basis. Is it an expectation? Remember what we talked about last week? Expectation is something that we have shared and in agreement with. Is it something that we desire to someone coming in with awareness and be like, you know what, I'm gonna give this a try? And that shame, where's that shame coming from? Is the shame coming from society, your boys' perceptions, which you deem, and your fear of getting hurt again? But that is going to be the barrier into getting what you say that you want, and the reason why you got into a relationship. You need that connection. You need to put that wall down. And someone said, no one is fully ever healed. It's always evolving. You're right. So just coming in with the awareness that you can try, you can open up. And if someone's asking that of you, are mirroring that, sometimes women, most Black women, because we've been doing this work for a while now, we show you that, oh, I'm going to therapy, and you're like, therapy? I'm over here meditating. Oh, I'm journal. Like, I'm showing you, I'm not telling. And then you guys, sometimes there's this like that ain't for me, but it is for you. You're human. You have your own pitfalls. You have your own complexes, your own insecurities, because you're human. Like,
Mm.
Black men are not exempt from being human. And so I recognize that society has told y'all, man up, like emotions ain't for y'all.
Mm-hmm.
But Black women are now telling you, we need your emotions. We need y'all to be human with us. So I'm gonna go back to
Well, no. So I hear what you're saying, and yes, we know society has a lot to do with why we show up the way we do, but that's complicated because when we do emote, and this is not all, I don't want to generalize, but then there's levels to how much emotion we show.
To
Like
who? It depends on who. Like, there are people who probably never see me cry. There are people who've seen it and be like, girl, cover your face. You know, so you have to be mindful of who, and that goes down to discernment, that you being intentional with yourself, self-awareness. Like, do I really feel good when I'm around this dude? Like, does he openly tell me about this? And that's not the person for you to be, sharing with. Now, if you're trying to build something so you can share with someone, asking these questions, being transparent with the person, and seeing how they respond. There might be a hit the first time to your ego. Someone might say something, then that's not the person for you. That's not supposed to discourage you. Like, when you're on a diet and you eat fried chicken, that doesn't mean that you never get back on the diet. That means, like, okay, I'm gonna try a little harder. I'm gonna meal prep. So there are going to be setbacks on both sides, both sexes. That's not a reason to never do it again. And just check your circle.
Yeah. So Nat, can we see if Mr. So Chill wants to come in here?
He doesn't want to join. Your
No,
brothers don't
Mr.
want
So
to
Chill,
join.
Mr. So Chill, do this for me, your brother, please. Don't do that. Listen, I get it. Certain people, everybody's not your person, and I understand that. But yeah, we also can't say, with your whole heart and be vulnerable and do it when there aren't any guarantees. We're not all of us are built like that. I mean, how long do you think it takes a man to really open all the way up? Just in your
I don't know. I'm not a man. I'm not even going to try to speak on behalf of y'all. So that would be something that you could share. How long did it take you to open up to your wife, or open up to any other women that you might be close to, like cousins, whatever? So I can't say that.
well, but here's the thing, Nada. I
Oh,
think
that's a good trial and error, someone said. That's good. Go ahead.
right. So I think one of the things that we have to realize that there are people that have been in relationships for well over 15 years and they still haven't fully opened up to their partners.
And is that a healthy relationship?
It's not a healthy relationship, right? But we're talking about conditioning and we're talking about unlearning some things. And sometimes, believe it or not, it's not until you have been in the relationship, you start doing the work that you now have to start working backwards.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What are you saying? So you realize that you're holding back in a relationship. What to do next?
Well, here's the thing. No, what I'm saying is that sometimes you've held back so much that now you want to do the work, but how much are you now? You have to work backwards, and sometimes that can be really uncomfortable. And so certain things you may just decide not to disclose because at this point, I'm going to tell you I don't like the way you chew, and it's been 20 years.
That's petty. We're not doing that. But
I'm
if
just saying.
you don't like the way that I chew because it reminds you of extreme example.
Because here's the thing. She's been chewing like this the whole time. So it's really triggering something else that's much deeper.
It reminds you of some time that you were assaulted. Then that's something to unpack. She doesn't have to change that. You have to change your association to that reaction.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do the work. So yeah, sometimes in therapy, or just if you're doing the work independently, which is hard and heavy, you're going to realize, okay, do I go all the way back to the initial trauma, or do I just recognize this right here is not working and maybe I need to reset and try something else? There's that possibility as well. You don't always have to go back to the root. You just know that these are symptomatic. Now, if it continues to come up, even if you address the symptom, then yes, you might need to go to the root.
Can I ask you a question? What if
I don't know if I'm going to answer, but go ahead.
what if you don't necessarily trust the person with your emotion?
That's what I was saying initially. Then that's the issue within the relationship. Because you can't, how are you doing these things and calling yourself a unit? You're making sacrifices and compromises together, but you don't trust this person, like financial, health, sexual, like all these things. And even when I say sexual, if you can't trust them in this regard, then are you really telling them what you desire sexually? And then who knows where that leads in terms of infidelity. But if you don't trust this person, why are you with them? What is it that...
No, but here's the thing. Some people have the ability to compartmentalize, like even the whole...
For your whole, like, I understand compartmentalizing at your job, right? Because it's a means to an end. And we kind of touched on this, I think it was maybe in our first reflection, where Nata mentioned the conversation between James Baldwin and Nikki Giovanni.
Yes.
Right? And how he goes out and he, you know, shucks and jives and makes it work when he's talking to the white man, but then he comes home and brings her...
That was a good clip. Yep.
His leftovers, pretty much, and no energy whatsoever. Why is it that we can find a way to compartmentalize in every other area of our life, but not, and compartmentalize in a way that's solution oriented, but not do that in our relationships?
It's easier than you think. And I think that's the part where I think some women need to listen to us and really try to understand that, even though it doesn't make sense. See, Nata,
no, it's not,
can't look to the left.
Pause. Let's pause for a second because I want to read Ebony's comment. Hey, Ebony. She says, people often only meet you as deeply as they have met themselves. Everybody drop a mic in the comments for that sentence alone. It is important to be in touch with your emotions and address your trauma and triggers before entering a relationship so you can be open. Thank you, Ebony. That was very well said. Very, very well said.
Really excuse myself from the stage because I feel like this is going to be cut and pasted on IG and everyone's going to see me in my deep conditioning twist, but it's okay. It's not easy.
I wasn't finished my thoughts, to be honest with you.
Okay, we can still...
I just want to break it up a bit. Nata's gonna excuse herself after she replies to your comment, Kev, and then we're gonna bring somebody else to the room.
Okay.
All I was saying, it's not easy.
No, go ahead. Who was first, Kev, and then Nata's responding? Go ahead. You want us to listen?
Don't patronize me.
I'm not. I'm
all right. So listen.
Literally repeating what you said.
So here's the thing. I really do think that we're able to compartmentalize, right? You mentioned last week's episode that we're able to shuck and jive and then come home and bring you our ass. Well, here's the thing, right? It's almost like telling somebody to take the emotion out of the workplace. It's very emotional because it's attached to my livelihood. Let's be very clear. And so the reason why I'm able to go in and act right in my 9 to 5 and is because it's my 9 to 5. It's funding the dream. It's funding how we live. It's funding how we do life together. All right. It's paying these bills. And so when I come home, I might be a little agitated. I might feel some type of way. I might be overwhelmed. And it's important to seek first to understand and then to be understood. Like, how is it? Wait, ladies, I need you all here, right?
We are totally here.
How is it that I go to work all day. I'm tired. And I get it. I heard you last week. Yes, you all are tired too. But you said something that was poignant, right? You said at one point in life, we wanted to be that source of peace. And then you fast forward, decided, well, wait a minute. I want peace too. And so when did the tide, like, we understand, we want you to have peace. And there are a lot of things that we make concessions for and that we do to give you your peace and your to promote the self-care and the whole nine. But yeah, you're asking, like, how can we go to work and make concessions? And it's because we're going to work. We're getting paid to do a job. We come home and I don't think the intention, right, is to show you our ass. I think the impact may be, and that's the part where we have to discuss, well, why do you feel that way? Sometimes I feel like we need a little grace and a little bit of space.
I just want to say what I was going to say because it's too much. Natalie, you got that.
I'll
Where's
tag you
Lauren?
in when
I
you're
need my
ready.
friend Lauren. Where is she?
Yeah, Lauren's going to come on here and give you what you need. That's fine. She's a better woman than me. That is fine. So you said something where I was going to jump in. It's not easy. None of this is easy.
Yeah, I agree.
It's the desire to do it. You have to, because you know the impact that it's going to have on you and that end goal. Nothing about this is easy. Like people that get up and go to the gym, 5 o'clock in the morning, never would you ever catch me. It's not easy to them. There's sacrifice. It's the times that they have to go to bed and all that. Same thing with emotions. Same thing with showing up with your partner after a long day at work. Someone else is going to answer that other stuff that you said about work and coming home. But just to go back, it is not easy. It is your desire. What is your passion? What are you willing to sacrifice emotion-wise? And once again, you may be making these financial sacrifices. Boy, I ain't asking that for you. Like, let's make a plan. Maybe you need to take 3 months off from work so you could evaluate what you need. Like, there's so many different things.
Nata.
We lost you.
No. You can't go anywhere, Nata. Nata. Listen. She can't leave.
Listen, I'm going to tag myself in and say, Kev, I heard you say, you compartmentalize at work because it's your 9 to 5, right? It funds what you need. It funds your desires. It funds how you live, all of those things. Is a life partner not also fulfilling those roles? Is your life partner also not meeting your needs? Is your life partner also not fulfilling desires, all those things? So why, again, can you operate in that way in a work setting, but not in a relationship setting?
Well, Nat, it's a really good question. And what I'll say is that I go back to conditioning. We've been conditioned to be certain ways, and it's just hard. Like, I think we all come to a relationship with a different script, right? And so, my script that I came with, my mom was married 3 times. She got 3 divorces. My wife came in with a different script. Her mom and dad were together since they were like teenagers. Her level of stick-to-itiveness and we're gonna go through hell, we ride or die, that hits different with her. With me, I was fight or flight, right? We don't have to be together. We can keep it moving. We don't have to do this. Like, we can be happy elsewhere. And so I think that it's a lot of unlearning. And so we've dealt with some traumatic experiences in relationships. And I don't think, first of all, this conversation is not cut and dry. Everybody's situation is going to be different.
Absolutely.
And so I feel like some of us are really passionate about this because it's just how we were brought up. And so a part of doing the work is listening, being in tune. I saw a brother on here earlier that said, I'm just listening so I can learn a little something. It's really complicated because we really do, when we talk about baggage, we really do come into relationships with our own notions of what they're supposed to be. And some of that is toxic as hell because it's how we were brought up or what we were seeing growing up. And so if I grew up in a house where, men were served, right? And they were served on plates, real plates, and the men ate before anybody else because there was this unspoken rule of, like, however antiquated you want to say that it is, guess what my lived experience is? My lived experience is that is a way that you show a man honor and respect. Who are we to discredit that? I think the one thing I will say that Nata always says is we just have to communicate, not the expectations, but what our desires are. I will hold on to that. I will say, but I think that when you know better, you do better. And sometimes it takes us a long time to even get there.
You said a lot.
I did. I always do. My wife says the same thing.
And Brittany, Brittany, you cannot decline tonight. We talked about this. You were supposed to be prepared to join us.
Yo,
You cannot.
Fred, get in here, Fred. Help me.
So listen, because you sent me a post this week about Mama Agnes going viral, talking about how women ain't women no more, and they need to be, you know, raising their kids and serving their man and all of this stuff. And, you know, I respect Mama Agnes. I find a lot of discrepancies in some of the things that she said, given times have changed, roles have evolved. But I hear your point about how you were raised, right? And I also saw in the comments, like, some people don't even know what their trauma and their triggers are. Some people don't even know what is right or wrong, for the lack of a better word, right? Or better words. So for you to say, you know, I was raised where, you know, the women in my family served the men. Times have evolved. Why can't we serve each other? And we have to unlearn a lot. And that takes communication, because if you don't know that can be offensive to your partner, and you are huffing and puffing because she's not serving you, then we got a major problem.
Right. I agree. So look, I totally agree with you. Now, I happen to be that guy, right? Like, if my wife is not home, whoever's here, we make sure everybody eats. And so if I'm making a plate, I just believe in plating it. Like, I'm not even throwing it on the plate. I'm going to plate it, and I'm going to serve it to you, because I believe that there's a lot of love that you could put in food. And I don't think I'm built different. There are a lot of brothers out here that do that. And so the Bible talks about submit one unto another. And I get this whole notion of that, and I get it. But to my point, there's a lot of unlearning to do. Yes. But there's also some people who are, this is their desire. This is what this is how you fill their cup. And so I think communication is key.
There are women who were raised that way too, who are completely comfortable in
100%.
stepping into that role. So instead
100%.
of fighting against someone who doesn't want to step into that role, communicate the desire in the beginning. And if they're not on board, move to the next.
Let me tell you something.
But wait, because we have a fan favorite that has entered the room. So first we need to do one thing and reset the room. Yep. So if you could reset the room, I am going to invite a family favorite.
Okay, so folks, if you're just tuning in, this is the pairing with Nat and I, For Every Wine, and, you know, Wine and Cheese, and the Brothers Brunch. We are talking about vulnerability today and how we lean into a very uncomfortable situation, some might say, depending on where you are in your growth and development. So, welcome to the room. I think that one thing I wanted to throw in here, just because I feel like it's important, is that I grew up as the only child. And so my mom is something about mothers and sons, right? And hello, welcome. It's something about mothers and sons where, you know, I can go to my mom's house right now and she will get out of bed, unthaw food, cook it, and serve me. And you would think I'm king whoever. And to this day, that is how she handles me, right? Now, I realized, it took me a long time, that, look, my wife will do what she can do, but let's be clear, I don't need to have that expectation, because it just depends on the day, it depends on what's going on, it depends on the dynamic, and I just feel like when you come from certain households and certain things have been done for your entire life, you go into situations with expectations, and we've talked about this thing of expectations. Okay, so I'll shut up there.
real fast, I was just going to say, are you expecting to marry your mother?
I'm not expecting to marry my mother at all. And so it's funny that you should say that, because when we went through marriage counseling, our counselor said the first thing you have to do is divorce your mom. And it was the most I'd ever heard in my life, because I didn't understand where that was coming from. But, you know, in adulting, you understand you do have to divorce your parents sometimes, particularly when you have a son that is, I mean, that's been my lifeline. That's been my connection. So I had to, that was a part of doing the work and trying to unlearn some things.
So I want to introduce Brittany to the room. Brittany is a member of Wine and Cheese, and she was a part of our initial conversation where we had both members of Wine and Cheese and the Brothers Brunch get together and have a 2-hour conversation, a lot about the what we're talking about today.
Hold up, Nat. I need to do a screenshot. Go ahead, Britt. There we go.
Y'all will get that reference later. So go ahead, Britt. What you got to say, girl?
Man, I mean, I'm catching up, because, you know, I missed like maybe the first half, and you see why I was not trying to come on live. Little miss in the back, right? But I mean, so much to say about vulnerability and relationships, and you know, coming. Did we talk about this more? I said some things I know originally in our first meeting about being vulnerable and what that looks like in a relationship. And so I'm trying to go back to something somebody else said. What?
I said a lot.
You did say a lot.
You always say a lot.
You say a lot. You do. So y'all gotta catch me up. I'm catching up and jumping in. So
well, Britt, so here's the thing. Like we're talking about. So I feel like the ladies in my life in this situation are almost making this seem like it's really that easy for men to show up and show out when it comes to vulnerability and being able to just, all you have to do is communicate. But what I'm saying is that there's complexities to that, right? There's trauma, there's hurt, there's the situation where you got in your feelings and then someone threw those feelings right back at you, right? It's about to be trouble in this room at this point. You know what? Why is he the favorite, but y'all always give me the side eye?
No, that was not the case.
It is.
But our friend Olan made some very valid points that I think part 2 gonna jump off of towards the end there. So you got to give him his props.
He's here. You know, I don't want to exude any feminine energy right now. So
let me get you need a timeout. Put yourself on mute. Put yourself on mute. Olin, welcome to the room. Hey, family.
Thank you.
What you got to say about all this? You've had some time to listen in.
Nothing yet. I was training clients, so I don't pay attention much, but yeah.
For those who don't know, Olin is a personal trainer. He has his own gym. He's probably sitting on a medicine ball right now.
Yep.
And that's my guy, man. That's my friend, and I appreciate him. So we're 4 of the originals, and I don't even think we set a date for the next conversation. This is residual from 2 hours of intense conversation. And I will say, you know, we were talking about vulnerability, and a lot of what we talked about originally, we got hung up on gender. And I think where Olin added a different perspective was, you know, talking about masculine and feminine energy and how we lean in, which was very interesting because it was polar opposite of what some of us were saying.
And let's also, as we have these conversations, let's divorce from the word interest. I don't like the connotation it holds, and I don't think it accurately depicts what we want to say. So let's start to try to find a word other than interesting.
It was intriguing.
I'm going to let you pass on that one. Olin, let's hear from you, brother.
But yeah, going back to that energy shift, right? I don't remember if I recommended this book in the last one, but The Way of the Superior Man. That's like a very pivotal book in this conversation because it's what separates the energy. It's not necessarily who's male, female, what's masculine and feminine. And you could have a balance and a duality of it all. So
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't mean like you're one way all the time. You could be both
Mhm.
in different scenarios. You could be feminine with your kids and you could be masculine with your boys, and you can have a shift in energy in different situations in different rooms. But that's what makes us whole people. You know, you can
Mhm.
one way all the time. You have to be able to walk into a room of vultures and be as well. So I think we just have to start working on having energy shifts too, like on a daily basis. Just, when you wake up, what do you do? How do you set your intention for your day? Because somebody could say the wrong thing to you, now it throws off your whole entire day because you don't have a sense. You don't have anything to go back to. So for me, like, with energy, like I'm different in different rooms. Not because I'm a different person, but it's just it requires a different version of me. It requires a different energy. Sometimes it means I have to listen, and sometimes it means I have to dominate that room. So it depends on what's needed at the time, but we have to have access to it all. Like, who can you be? Who should you be in this room? Because sometimes not everything requires an argument. Some days your woman or your man wants to tell you something, and it doesn't have to be a fight. They just need an ear. And some days you need to be like, no. So you could be both. And that's what I was trying to say the last time, is like you can be both and you could do it.
I
So,
think
Yeah.
oh,
I let me hop in because you're still on timeout. Um, I love that you said that. I love that you are a man saying those things because I think it shifted the energy in the room the night that we had this initial conversation, and it really made us be more intentional about how we talk about fluidity and
Mhm.
redefining fluidity as energy and not necessarily assigning a gender to it. So I just wanted to point that out because I'm losing my train of thought. Brittany, I want you to hop in, but I also want to note that Brittany, Lauren, who's been in the room, Nata, it is no coincidence that they are all therapists. And I'm glad that you introduced Olin and shared, what he does and what he brings to this world. But I did want to share that those three women are natural healers within the field of psychology.
Mhm. Mhm.
So go ahead,
Yeah,
Britt.
I absolutely agree with that. The first thing that came to my mind was, as a therapist, I'm who I need to be for the person who's sitting in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
And so, every relationship, brings a different value, and it brings out different pieces of you that you have to answer to. And so just being able to allow someone to come as their full and whole and authentic selves, and acknowledging that that's going to change from person to person, right? Who you are authentically, who I am to, this client is different from this client, right? Who I am to this man is different from this man, right? Like, it's because this is what you bring out of me. And I agree with that. Like, it's the both and. There's a dichotomy, there is a dialectic that has to happen in order for us to be able to participate in these relationships in the most healthiest way. And so, with that authenticity, it requires a certain level of vulnerability to be able to communicate the shift, right? Like,
Mm.
and it's no surprise, right? That energy absolutely plays a factor in the role in that. And so if your vibe and your energy is off, and I feel that, but every time I'm trying to communicate it with you and say, hey, something is different here between us, and you are not acknowledging that, then yeah, what does that look like in the long run when it comes to, in the back of your mind what's going on, but you're not sharing that with me. And so I feel lost. So all I'm going off of, well, I'm responding to what I feel like I'm getting, and this is what this looks like. And that absolutely changes the the relationship. It's like, I still love you, but I really don't like you right now. Like, right? Or whatever may be coming up in that. So, that's my 2 cents.
Thanks, bro.
Have
For
somebody
now.
tagged you back
Why
in?
that face though, Kev? I don't understand that.
No, I mean, listen, at this point, I consider us all to be friends, and but I do think that the language, like where we find it. So first of all, how are we meeting some of these brothers where they are, right? And so we're all. I mean, I can see from this, right? You see the circle I run in, and I see the circle you run in. That, and so, but at some point, we're all too educated in this, and it sounds great, and it sounds, and we found the words for this, and it's all good. But then we come in contact with a lot of brothers who don't have the words or the language for this. And that is so important. We can't gloss over that. We can't sit here and have these
Okay.
philosophical conversations and talk about energy. Some brothers, all they know is good vibes only, no new friends, whatever catchphrase you want to give it, period. And
True.
I'm not trying to be,
Yeah.
but it's the truth. And so how do you get through to, like, because we're not going to get through with all of that. And I hear you.
I saw, yeah. I saw a post once, and it was actually a text exchange that ended up being on Instagram, but it was between partners, and the woman said, you know, I'm just not feeling it today. Like, I'm just not in the mood today. I don't have the words, so I just need some space. And her partner said, that's okay. Throw out some words, and I'll try to piece it together. Let's like work through this. Let's try to formulate a sentence for how you feel. It can literally be that simple. Let's just throw out some words, throw out colors. You know, what is the meaning associated with this? Like, sometimes there are literally meanings for colors, right? So if I say I'm feeling orange, you know, there's emotion attached to that, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes we can just be very simple and basic and then grow into more of a conversation. I actually appreciate you saying that, because it was a part of that viral post on what men want women to know about them. It says, when we tell women that we don't know how we feel about something, it's usually true. And we genuinely don't understand how we're supposed to feel. I personally wasn't allowed to express emotions growing up, and it turned into me not being able to understand my own.
I
Yeah.
think it's important to note. I'm sorry, I'm gonna jump in. It's important to note that emotions and feelings are two different things.
Okay.
That we have five central emotions, and all of our feelings are manifestations of those emotions.
I like that. Drop a mic. Drop a mic. Teach us.
So you can actually physically feel angry, sad, love, fear, angry, sad, love, hurt, fear, happy, right? You can physically feel those things, but you can't feel disappointment.
Mm.
Disappointment starts with a thought, right? And so I encourage everybody, period. Like, one of the things anybody can do is get the alphabet. Write down as many feeling words or things that you think are attached to emotions as you can for each letter, because that's how we build our vocabulary.
Mm.
And a lot of clients, black folks, I serve us. That's all I see. All my clients are black. A lot of us don't know how to identify. If you can't identify, you cannot come up with a word for it, then of course it's not going to be in your vocabulary and your language. So you have to build that. And part of that, it has to come from desire. I think our girl said it before. You have to have desire. It comes from just wanting to say, I know that there's more than I'm frustrated, I'm irritated, right? Like, there's more to it than that. Let's dive deeper. That comes from frustrated and irritated, or irritability all come from anger. So let's go ahead and figure out what else is underneath that.
Well,
So we gotta.
dare I say that we sometimes we are how can I put this? We need feminine energy at times, right? Where so how can I put this? I need affirmation. I know some men need affirmation. I think even in these conversations, one of the things that I love when we're talking is when you say something as simple as "I hear you," right?
Mm.
Or "I understand you." And
Mhm.
I don't think it's that deep. I think sometimes uh, sometimes we just make it too complicated. But sometimes I do believe, and I'm not even sure whether that would be how we define feminine energy. But what I do know is that there is a desire to have something, and I remember this word coming up, tender, right, or
Mm.
soft, and because I think that helps us when it comes to vulnerability. I
Mhm.
think we, and I'm generalizing, sometimes can clam up or decide not to emote when the room isn't conducive for such. Yes.
Mhm.
Kev,
Mhm.
I want to tag in Olin. And Olin, I would like for you to respond to Kev saying that, sometimes he needs feminine energy. And I
You
want
don't get to
to
do that.
also,
You
I
don't get to
also,
do that. That is not even fair.
no, because I think you need to hear it from a brother. I really do. But also, I want to read I am PM Goddess's comment. She asks actually, can you not access your feminine energy since men possess feminine energy as well? Remember,
Yeah,
we're
for
talking
sure.
about
I think
fluidity.
I do all the time.
Uh, uh, I in love.
Well, you don't live with me. That's the
In
thing. Like
I
I
know.
think that I do all the time. What I'm saying is that sometimes, look, there's so many layers to all of us. So many layers.
Can I finish?
Mhm.
Can I finish my thought? Only because
Absolutely.
I don't want you to think you have to defend yourself here. But what I want to just challenge you to think about, I mean, no, I don't live with you, but I have known you for the last 3 months. And I hear you a lot say, we need women to be soft. We need y'all to be kind. And the question on the table is, have you unlocked access to the soft and kinder parts of you? In a
Are you
way,
asking?
in a way that you aren't relying on other people, specifically women, to give it to you.
Mhm.
That's
And it's
interesting.
a question you can answer right now, but go ahead.
No, because you wanted Olin to school me on something.
I
No,
don't.
it's not schooling with anything,
Listen,
right?
listen.
So,
There is a reason why men get on the defense, and I think that that's important to recognize. And so, if we're going to have this conversation, let's have the conversation. But there's this thing called ego, right? And that and then
Mhm.
you have ego, and then you have sensitivity, and then you have all this complex shit that happens, and that's why men get on the defense. And a lot of it is the work that we have to do. But let's be honest and call it what it is.
But
Olin?
that's why I tagged in Olin, because I felt if you hear it from him, it may register and land differently.
Different.
That's a very interesting concept. I have a lot of opinions on that. Olin?
Yep.
all right. So
Hold it.
there were those two posts that were floating around this week. The one that Carrie Hilson posted about being soft, and then there was the one about the guy. And I did a rant about it, and I got attacked because my position was different. But Kevin, you just literally said it. Like, we don't need to hear those things from anybody. Your ego does. You know that there's something like the ego is the enemy. We like personally, I don't need to hear it. I don't need to hear you say I am heard because from a reality perspective, if I am doing everything I'm supposed to be doing, I'll be heard. The whoever's on the other side will want to listen. So I'm not in a position where I feel like, you know what, I feel like I want to be heard. And if I want to be heard and I'm not being heard and I stay there, that's now my choice to not be heard. And there was
Mhm.
something that I was just talking to somebody about with longevity versus growth. You know, in society today, and this is where me and Kevon go in opposite directions. Um, People base the strength or success of a relationship based on longevity. People relationships years
I'm coming.
Bring yourself.
versus being in a position of growth. So I feel like when you in a situation for a long time and you have all these desires that are unmet, at that point, not even on the other person anymore. It's you choosing to not be heard. Like, why would you, as a woman, want to be in a situation where you can't be your true self? You can't be. And so those posts, like for me, they irritated me, and I got attacked on the internet because it's like, why are you doing this to yourself? We act like this is just a practice life, and we'll have another one later. Like if you're not getting your needs met, and you have all these unmet desires, because if everybody's posting it, it means it resonates with everybody, and that's the
Mhm.
fundamental problem. Like, why are we dealing with situations where we're living lives where our needs are not being met? Like, if I want to be heard and you're not listening, then we need to find a solution to that problem instead of just staying there and like hoping and wishing and hoping it happens. And then you need to work on yourself. And if you hear yourself, if you know who you are, then if nobody wants to listen, that's fine. But that's my take on that. It's like my ego needs to be heard. My ego needs to be validated. But like my ego is also the enemy. My ego is what makes me do dumb stuff, you know, because you feel like on top of the world, you feel powerful, you feel protected, and your ego leads you in a lot of other directions that you shouldn't be going. But I know, like in most situations, if you're doing everything you're supposed to,
Mhm.
come
Brick,
on, attack.
Brick, you can click on
No,
your.
I won't allow that to happen, good brother. You're good. I appreciate your comments.
So listen,
Um,
we're over the hour mark, but this conversation got really good in the last couple of minutes. So I think we're gonna
I
have.
got one. I got
That's
one piece.
interesting.
I'm gonna add.
Go
I'm
ahead.
gonna add to what Online says. So the other part of that is, how are we defining what being heard looks like? Like, do we have expectations and what it means for someone else to hear us? And so if I'm looking for a certain response or reaction in order to acknowledge that you hear me, then that is then we're going in with it, right? With that all the time. We're leading with that. And so it's like, if I'm sharing something with you and I'm already expecting a reaction or a certain response and I don't get that, then you didn't hear me.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Has a lot to do with active listening too.
We have a practice within Wine and Cheese. Before you share your wine, you get to say, I either want advice or I simply want affirmation.
Yeah.
So you are free to share and not get any feedback whatsoever. Because a lot of times we hear something and we immediately want to help and solve and do all the things, right? But you have the right to say, disclaimer, I just want affirmation. You hearing me in this moment means I just want your support, right?
That also means that you're coming from a space of having a certain level of EQ to be able to acknowledge and hear that too.
That
Right.
part.
That's right.
Emotional intelligence.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
You know, it's funny. I just want us to all make sure that we are creating, like when we talk about safe spaces and courageous spaces, we have to realize that ego is a thing. Whether we've done,
Hmm.
whether we have mastered the the art of not having one or whatever the case may be, it is absolutely a thing, and it is a thing in a large majority of men. And so a part of, you know, you again, you can't fix something that you're not willing to face. And so if you have a large quantity of people who are struggling with this notion of ego or whatever the word, make up a word, we have to still create that space. And so I leave today wanting to challenge us to say, okay, are we maintaining that space? Are we approachable? Are we reflective of kind of who we are and what we're inviting into our space? And rather, like, do we create the space for people to come broken? So we talk about wanting them to leave whole, but sometimes we get people completely broken and completely effed up. And so how do we handle those people? We have a responsibility to do that.
So we can start by inviting them to our respective organizations. So Kev, you want to tell people tell the brothers how they can continue to grow and evolve and thrive in a safe space with other men?
Sure. I think it's important to say the disclaimer is that none of us are perfect. None of us have figured it all out. But we all are at the table, proverbial table, if you will, to do the work. And we're at the table with brothers like O-Line, right? That are going to hold us accountable, that are going to stand rested and rooted in their perspective beliefs. Nobody is 100% correct. Everybody comes with their own lived experience. But what I will say is that the Brothers Brunch is an organization that is dedicated to just really doing meaningful work and being vulnerable and being almost, naked and not ashamed, if you will. But we realize as men that that doesn't come with the first sitting. That doesn't come automatically. That's not a given. We have to be in trusted spaces, and we're willing to kind of open the door and give you a seat at the table. www.thebrothersbrunch.com. As soon as you get on our website, it says join our community. Please do so. We'd love to have you.
Awesome. Awesome. I love what you're doing. And you're absolutely right. No one here is perfect. And it's actually, perfection is not attainable, right? That said, we all do have amazing perspectives and journeys that have allowed us to share what we know, a lot of best practices, a lot of lessons learned, so that maybe the next person won't make the same mistakes or trip in their journey. So through Wine and Cheese, we create safe spaces for women to bond and build within community. And funny, Kev, it's actually the opposite for us, right? So when we suggest that women get together to join Wine and Cheese, to form a branch within their area, I actually encourage them to invite women from different circles, right? So it's not the same group of women you're always talking to, venting to, learning from, building with. And that is because I found in the 10 years that we've been in existence that women are more comfortable more quickly sharing with one another when there isn't this tight bond already formed, when they don't know each other, when they know, okay, I can say this in this space and I might not see you again until the next Wine and Cheese. So you can't really, judge me or anything of that effect. So really created a space where you can come as you are, and say what you need to say, share what you need to share, and build bonds in that way, in a way that hasn't quite been done before. So what I want to do is invite every woman in the room who isn't already a member to go to the link in my IG bio and click join our tribe. We have a private member only app where we like this, where we are spotlighting women who are doing amazing things, when we are pouring into women who say, hey, I need help, and offering a lot of other programs and just other ways of support. So for all the Wine and Cheese ladies, whether you're former, current, put a Wine and Cheese in the comments. And if you aren't already a member, go ahead and click join our tribe, which is in the link of our bio. For anyone joining that is new, the first 2 of the membership are absolutely free. So I hope to see you there. And Kev and I will join you same time, same place next week. Go ahead, Kev.
Hey, I just want to say, Britt, we're going to be friends. Hey, I love you, brother. I appreciate your perspective.
Always, bro.
Yeah, thank you all so much for being here. Thanks, everybody, for staying on with us a bit longer tonight. Be well.
Thank you. Y'all have a good night.
Smile,
Bye.
Britt. Bye.